Hi guys, today I'm showing you the project me and Crouching Tuna have been working on. We spent 4 mirrors on our builds. They're crazy. We have been tanking almost all of the end game. Tuna can even tank the memory game and the brain AoE from Maven. So I'll show you the gear that I bought. I got a +3 Saka wall with 75, 55 all attributes, mana reservation, +3, and it cost me around 65x. Above this helmet as well, it has an increased effect of auras implicit with Enchant for Wrath and really high ES for synthesize the helmet with plus two AoE gems, so it can scales my purities, so I can get 90% max res. And I'm using Purity of Elements because Tuna is running the What's His Eye that converts the damage taken to elementals, so it takes even less damage. We can mitigate almost like 30% of the fizz damage because we're converting to elemental and then we have 90 max res. On the shield, we're running the auras that have a lot of mana cost and we need to link them to enhance. I don't want them linked to generosity, so they go in a different setup than malevolence. I'll explain later why. On the shield, you want yes, and I unveiled the suffix decks, and I'm gonna craft the prefixes later. I can just suffix can be changed and reroll defense plus until I hit the prefixes I want, and then I can craft the last one. We are running Divergent Haste because it gives projectile speed, and we are running Divergent Determination because it gains evasion as extra armor, which if I turn off Determination, my armor goes from 8k to 0. And then since Determination has so much aura effect, if I use like a Flask or Molten Shell, my armor goes way up. My physical damage reduction should be pretty high because of the Ascendancy. Guardian, it gives me 1% fizz damage reduction to me and my allies for every aura, and I have a lot of auras, and this gets scaled by my aura effect. So, for example, if I have 1% for every aura, if I have 300%, I will have 4% for every aura, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of these auras give like 4% each, unless they don't apply to allies. Like, for example, Dread Banner only applies on enemies, so it doesn't really count. I just made this ring. Good yes in prefixes with minus mana cost and endurance charge because it's some fizz mitigation. The amulet is really hard to craft. You walk orb the suffixes with reduced mana reservation of skills and clarity because it saves sockets. And for the prefixes, it's really hard. You need to annul because how this amulet works, you have -1 prefix, -1 suffix, and every time you chaos spam or do anything like reroll key prefix or whatever, it will always give you 4 affixes on the amulet for some reason. So you can't really remove a prefix to craft something. You have to actually annul and 50% chance to break the item. It's really hard to craft. I wouldn't recommend crafting these. They're really annoying. I'm using Darkness Enthroned. This is not like the endgame version, but it's good for now with just yes, stats, and reservation. I'm using +5 gloves. I spent 35x on these. I crafted the weapon. We mainly want +1 all spell skill gems, reduced soul cost, and we would want 8 trade effect or wrath effect, but I got unlucky on the Redeemer's Lamp, so we're keeping the cast speed if you killed recently, which is completely useless for now. We are using Grace on the Triumvirate ring. What this does, it levels up the gem, so we get a high level Grace. It gives us good aura effect, and it makes the uptime on Val Grace permanent because if you can see here, you have a soul gain prevention. When you use the flask, you have a soul gain prevention of 2.79, and we have a buff duration of 6.24. What this means, every time my soul gain prevention falls off, I have 3 seconds to charge another one. So technically, if you're killing mobs fast enough, you always have it up 100% of the time. This is really good when we want to do Ruin, because you can actually dodge the Ruin attack. As boots, these are pretty solid. It just saves sockets to have purity on an item. Like having any aura on an item itself, it saves sockets on your gear. and aura bots are usually socket starved. On the test, we're linking all the damage auras, Wrath, Zealotry, Precision, Hatred, and we link it to Awakened Generosity because we want this to go on the carry. We don't really need any of this. For now, I have Enlightened because my reservation is not perfect because we just started the character. It's level 97, but we did this in pure Sayulas, so it's not really like I haven't had a lot of time to min-max the character yet. Eventually, I'm gonna change this to Empower. On the weapon, we have crafted +2 socketed support gems because of the enhance. It goes to level 6, and if we link it to Malevolence, the quality of the Anomalous Malevolence goes to 66%, which means we have a 26% increased skill effect duration, which scales with my aura effect. And this makes is a spark like last for probably like over 20 seconds, which will have the whole arena filled with sparks. And then we link it to Awakened Generosity because if we have the buff effect duration from Malevolence, it will break our build because the Val Grace, Soul Gain Prevention. I'll just take off Generosity to show you. The Soul Gain Prevention right now is 14.76, which means we will never be able to have uptime on Val Grace. So we don't want this on us. We only want it on the carry because it scales the spark duration, which is insane. For the same reason, Divergent Taste... we actually want Divergent Taste on us as well. But we also want it on the carry because the projectile speed, so the spark travels faster. On the gloves, we also have an Enlighten, but we want an Empower as well for Vitality and Discipline. The regen is really high. We have one... Depending on how my Ascendancy is working, we have 1.2 or 2.8k. If we have an Empower, we get like 200-300 regen more, and we get even more yes. My yes is 8.3k, but we can get way more. My yes not min-maxed at all. Like, I spent a lot on it, but Aura bots can pretty much min-max forever. You can keep investing currency into it. All my... this is Voices, 3 passives is where we spend most of our money. They are about 70 exalts each when I bought them, so that's just one mirror for the large clusters. And for the medium clusters, I spent around 4 or 5x each. I rolled most of these myself. They're all with effect and good yes. And one of these is with Sublime Form, so I can get some reservations, so I can feed more auras. Later on, if I get some corruption with RMR on the mediums, I can drop this and get more aura effect. Replenishing Presence is okay, it's not the best, but if I didn't have anything better, I rolled this one with Effect Replenishing, it's good enough. I would prefer having Effect and one of Reservation mod on each of them. And later on, if I can manage to get Corrupted ones with 1% reduced reservation, I can go full on Aura Effect and ES as prefixes. But right now, those are like really expensive. They're probably over 50 exalts each because the corruption chance of getting reduction of reservation is like 1 in 60. And each of these jewels, 6 passives level 84, so that they can roll 35 effect is like 3.5 exalts. So they're gonna become really expensive really quick if you want to min-max it really hard. All of my other jewels have 1% RMR. Might of the Meek was like 12x. This is like 24x. Conqueror's efficiency was around 3. Conqueror's potency around 3 as well. You want to get as much aura effect as possible. They nerfed the large clusters, but it's still pretty good. All of my normal jewels are 1% reduced reservation of skills, and then some attributes so that we don't need like a lot of dex on rings or strength on rings. And the last mod is yes. Yes is really important because we can't really get a lot of yes on the tree. I'll show you something. If I was to take 1 point on the tree and removing one of these, my ES goes from 8.3 to 8.5, and when I'm near a discipline bot, I'll get like 500 more for 1 point. But this scales everything, not only my ES, it scales my damage, my speed, my carries damage, my speed, my defenses, my effective HP because it increases my armor and everything, duration. So like aura effect is better. It's better to get aura effect. over ES, I believe, because you can get, there's other ways to get percent ES on gear. I'll show you Tuna's gear. Crouching Tuna. His gear is insane as well. It wasn't as expensive as my gear because aura bots are really expensive. Basically, the whole point of his build is to throw a lot of sparks really fast and do a lot of damage, but also while being really, really tanky. He scales projectile speed, pierce on all of his mediums, some crit multi, crit chance. He's an Inquisitor because it's really hard to get penetration. I could give him penetration through old quality gems, but with just bypassing the whole mechanic by just getting true damage when he crits, completely ignoring the resist. So there's the one stat that we have to worry about, one last stat that we have to worry about. He's converting a lot of the damage it takes to Chaos or Elemental, because if he converts it to Chaos, since his CI is completely negated, and the rest of the gear, he has just res and DS, so that in case he just runs out of range of the auras, he doesn't die. He has Nebulous because of the way his skill scales. His Spark, so is a lightning based skill, and he converts to cold, so both cold and lightning and cast speed are really good, and he has a implicit of double damage and some flat. So I can scale his damage through Hatred because he's converting to cold. I can scale his damage through Wrath because it's a base lightning spell, and I can scale his damage through Zealotry because it's a spell. And his crit chance is really low, so I get a really high level precision, and it's 68% crit chance, and it's scaled by my aura effect, so I can give him like more crit chance from one gem than his whole tree combined. So this is really good because of the penetration. When he crits, he ignores the enemy elemental resistance. Another focus of his build is of block. Basically, whenever he blocks, he gains a lot of yes back, like a few thousand yes back because of Aegis Aurora. And is trying to be block capped and spell dots capped and dodge and spell dots capped through me from Valgrace and 100% uptime. His Eyes of the Great Wolf has global defenses, so he scales both of the AS, energy shield, and the armor. And he has a lot of crit multi because he doesn't have a lot of crit multi in the tree, since he's only taking mostly yes nodes. And the last item is the Memory Vault. It's really good for tanky builds. It scales mana, armor, and reduce reservation. He also has a Spark enchant. He has another option for the helmet, which is the new helmet that gives 40% mana and yes. And he has a corruption of +1 skills and an enchant of +3 spark. So he has a +4 and helmet. He could try, but for now we're using the tanky version. We've been trying the builds in Ultimatums. They're really good. And I'll show you more videos later on. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.